Welcome back everyone. Yesterday I uploaded a 47-minute reaction to the vidoc showing Halo Infinite's pre-development by Dan Chosich. I promised a shorter summarized version today, but literally as I upload this video, and some of you may have seen this already, I got an email saying I effectively had 48 hours to remove the longer version. The guy who initially uploaded the vidoc also received the same email, so they'll both be taken down. This vidoc was available since 2022, then Mr. Rebs found it and started grabbing information from it. Since he has done that, it has now become private. All I'm going to say is in future, don't publicly publish things if you don't want others to see them. The vidoc itself was one of the most humanizing videos I had ever seen from 343. It was over 6 years old and it really showed how passionate the developers were, and it was reflective in the comments on the video. People loved that vidoc and it gave an important perspective on the challenges Halo Infinite faced. I loved how they spoke about the legacy of Halo and how important it was going forward. That's one of the core things I always talk about on the channel. 343 did this for both campaign and multiplayer. How can we tell a story for the next Halo campaign? Have first-time newcomers resonate with the story, but also respect what came before. Their answer was to have these branches, these deep dive stories within the campaign, and they tell a narrative of the iconic Halo story we know and love. A lot of the narrative elements that were in this vidoc I think would have made for a great campaign. You can see it from the concept art, there's so many different things. The Arbiter was in the campaign at one point. Also the fact that the multiplayer story was tied into the Battle of the Ring, that your own Spartan would end up in the fight against Atriox, that Atriox himself was a major part of the game. I particularly love the bit where it says Atriox has his own warlords that were planned to be campaign DLC. These warlords probably got changed into the VIP banished targets you eliminate to unlock the special campaign weaponry. But even extra biomes, I wish Halo Infinite had a desert biome, a snow biome. Most of this stuff that I'm showing on screen now, Mr. Rebs has already showcased, the other is concept art, so I feel like it's safe to show. It really goes to show how much the engine limitations affected development, paired with leadership which has since been changed, as well as the global pandemic which forced employees to work from home. Just adjusting to that, I think, would naturally take time. The open world really was going to be vast, but I strongly feel as though the original Xbox One was a nightmare to get everything working on. It's so limited, being over a decade old. I genuinely wonder if that was why split screen wouldn't work for the campaign, but that's only speculation. At the very least, the Xbox One would have reduced the scope of the open world campaign, as they would have had to factor in the outdated hardware. You can't have different versions of a campaign across devices. The forward operating bases in the planned Halo Infinite campaign, and this was in the vidoc, seemed larger. The space rhinos actually got tested, and the enemy, the Crusher, a replacement to the Hunters, seemed really well thought out. There were a few images that had a horse, a weapon, and a vehicle in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, so I wonder at an early point if mounts were considered at some point. I know scavenging and crafting were ideas, but I'm not sure how far that got. It's funny because Halo Infinite was planned to release in 2019. This got pushed back to 2020, and then with Joe Staten, who joined, 2021. From what people have said and what I've heard myself, Joe really helped steer the ship home. It's what he's known for, shipping and publishing games. His leadership helped get the game over the line. Now, one of the most important parts of the vidoc, and it's the main reason why I uploaded it and reacted to it, was that it spoke about the Unreal Engine, as well as the old Halo engine. This is very relevant to Halo today, as the franchise has swapped to the Unreal Engine. Developers in the video said that Unreal Engine had certain benefits, which I think are in terms of aesthetic. They said that replicating the feel of Halo wasn't the problem, but that the biggest hurdle to overcome was the scope of Halo. I think tackling a standalone campaign like Combat Evolved, which we are 99% sure Halo Studios is doing, is a great way to get the content pipelines in place so they can keep creating Halo games on the new engine. It's basically practice. I saw a lot of people saying, why not Halo 3 Anniversary right away? I would rather than practice on Combat Evolved with the Unreal Engine than do Halo 3 Anniversary right out of the gate and completely stuff it up. Also, and as a very quick side note, I want to say this, swapping to the Unreal Engine definitely doesn't solve every problem, but at least the nightmare of the Slipspace engine, the engine that caused all of Infinite's issues, is resolved. In terms of multiplayer, on the other hand, this earlier iteration of Halo Infinite actually had some solid ideas. The main ones that I wish made it into the full game was the UI, the user interface. There was a roster on the right hand side with the levels of your teammates and your friends. There was Spartan Company, something that was a massive social aspect of Halo 5, and we all know how much I love my social features in Halo games. I truly hope for whichever Halo game comes out next, we have a menu that is reminiscent of, say, Halo Reach. Having that active roster on the right hand side, I think is a really good idea. Some other features that I felt were welcome changes was the Academy. This really helps beginner players find their feet, and I really think the bot bootcamp playlist on Halo Infinite should be there. It's gone. If you wanted a younger audience to be able to jump in and just fight bots to find their footing, I think bot bootcamp is important. From what I understand, I think that playlist specifically got removed because people were using it to boost XP for their career ranks, but it also had fairly low population. Moving on to customization, and at this early point, it was a mixed bag for me. There was extra options for grime and armor wear and tear, something that was in the first few flight tests if I recall, but didn't make it into the full release. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. What will always irk me is that certain developers tried to sell colors multiple times. I'm really glad that this changed post-launch, and I hope it never happens again. Basic colors, a free set, should be free for all. Also, the core system should be abolished, with every armor piece to be mix and matchable like Halo Reach. I'm really glad that the developers who stuck with Infinite fixed both of those problems. I know cross-core isn't fully there where it should be, but it is a night and day difference to how the game launched. For multiplayer specifically, I'm happy that Halo Infinite launched gameplay-wise the way it did. That Overwatch Halo concept, like the class-based shooter, I genuinely wonder how much development time went into it. It seemed a lot more than a prototype. It also seemed as though there was a great deal of thought put into it. I know a lot of Halo fans would love a Battlefront class-based Halo game with massive battlefields. Hell, even as a spin-off, you might find fans love a tactical-based version of Halo with abilities for both vehicle, weapon, and armor. In saying that, I also firmly believe in what made Halo so popular to begin with. Content being additive and adding to the experience is fine. We saw just on Halo Infinite recently, they released a Counter-Strike mode, and since it's additive and doesn't replace the core experience, players didn't mind it, and generally they enjoyed the variety. It's the same thing whenever I've spoken about a Halo Battle Royale. Content being additive and adding to the arena experience is fine, replacing that core arena experience, not so much. The only thing I did notice, which I'm glad didn't make it into the final game, was that there was health outlines above players' heads. I'm really happy this didn't make it into the final release. The outline system I feel is necessary for Infinite because red versus blue is gone, but I still prefer red versus blue with no outlines. That's just my preference. Keeping with multiplayer, a big planned mode at this point in development was Halo Infinite Warzone 2.0. This would have fit into the whole class-based shooter. There would have been brand new rec packs. It definitely would have fit into the abilities and the brand new unique weaponry. I think Warzone, or more specifically PvPvE, which is player versus player with AI on the map, is something that should be explored more with Halo. Large-scale modes above 24 players I think has untapped potential for the franchise. Previously, this was an engine limitation, preventing stability above certain player counts, but now with the swap to Unreal, this might no longer be the case. On the whole, this vidoc showed there were some really passionate developers working on Halo. They cared about the franchise, but due to engine limitations, leadership at the time, and other factors like the pandemic, it made it into development hell. It also probably didn't help that Microsoft, they had their stupid temporary employee contractor policy. It made it so much harder for new developers to find their footing. I always wondered that if it took such a long time and it was horrible to get a new developer up to speed with the Slipspace engine, why not make an amendment for just 343 to allow contractors to stay on longer? In a perfect world, that's what I would have suggested, but I'm sure there's some legal reason as why they don't want to do that. Either way, it was a great vidoc. It's a shame I had to take down the full 47-minute version. For Halo going forward, time will tell with the new reveal in October. The World Championships is around 70 days away now. Leave your predictions on what we might see down in the comments below. Do you think it's going to be a Battle Royale, a Combat Evolved remake reveal? Let me know. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.